जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदश श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री गुरु पूर्णिमा महामहोत्सव की जय। श्रीला सनातन गोस्वामी डिसपियरेंस डे की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 12, entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit. Text 13. Please repeat behind me. Tasya pritamana raja viprair dhaumya kripadibihi jatakam karayamasa वाचयित्वा च मंगलम्। तस्य प्रीतमना राजा विप्रैर्धौम्या कृपादिभिः जातकं कारयामास वाचयित्वा च मंगलम्। प्रीतमना राजा विप्रैर्धौम्या कृपादिभिः जातकं कारयामास वाचयित्वा च मंगलम्। तस्य प्रीतमना राजा विप्रर्दौम्या कृपादिभिः जातकं कारयामास वाचयित्वा च मङ्गलम् तस्य प्रीतमना राजा विप्रर्दौम्या कृपादिभिः जातकं कारयामास वाचयित्वा च मङ्गलम्. Mataji, tasya, his, Pritamana, satisfied, Raja, King Yudhishthir, Viprai, by the learned Brahmanas, Dhaumya, Dhaumya, Kripa, Kripa, Adibihi, and others also. Jatakam, one of the purificatory processes performed just after the birth of a child. Karyamas had them performed. Vachayitva, by recitation. Cha, also. Mangalam, auspicious. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Yudhishthir, who was very satisfied with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, had the purificatory process of birth performed. Learned Brahmanas headed by Dhaumya and Kripa recited auspicious hymns. Purport: there is a need for a good and intelligent class of Brahmanas who are expert in performing the purificatory processes prescribed in the system of Varnashrama Dharma. Unless such purificatory processes are performed, there is no possibility of good population, and in the age of Kali, the population all over the world is of Shudra quality or lower for want of this purificatory process. It is not possible, however, to revive the Vedic process of purification in this age for want of proper facilities and good Brahmanas, but there is a Panchratrika system also recommended for this age. The Panchratrika system acts on the Shudra class of men, supposedly the population of the Kali Yuga, and it is the prescribed purificatory process suitable to the age and time. Such a purificatory process is allowed only for spiritual upliftment, not for any other purpose. Spiritual upliftment is never conditioned by higher or lower parentage. After the Garbhadan purificatory process, there are certain other samskaras called Samanto Unnayan, Sadbhakshanam, etc. during the period of pregnancy. And when the child is born, the first purificatory process is called Jata Karma. This was performed duly by Maharaj Yudhishthir with the help of good and learned Brahmanas like Dhaumya, the royal priest, and Kripacharya, who was not only a priest but also a great general. Both these learned and perfect priests, assisted by other good Brahmanas, were employed by Maharaj Yudhishthir to perform the ceremony. Therefore, all the samskaras, purificatory processes, are not mere formalities or social functions only, but they are all for practical purposes and can be successfully performed by expert Brahmanas like Dhaumya and Kripa. Such Brahmanas are not only rare but also not available in this age, and therefore for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer the purificatory process under the Panchratrika formulas to the Vedic rites. Kripacharya is the son of Rishi Shardban and was born in the family of Gautam. The birth is said to be accidental. By chance, the Rishi Shardban met Janapadi, a famous society girl of heaven, and the Rishi Shardban discharged semen in two parts. By one part, immediately a male child, and by the other part, a female child were born as twins. The male child was later on known as Kripa, and the female child was known as Kripi. Maharaj Shantanu, while engaged in chase in the jungle, picked up the children and brought them up to the Brahmanical status by the proper purificatory process. Kripacharya later became a great general like Dronacharya, and his sister was married to Dronacharya. Kripacharya later on took part in the battlefield of Kurukshetra and joined the party of Duryodhana. Kripacharya helped kill Abhimanyu, the father of Maharaj Parikshit, but he was still held in esteem by the family of Pandavas due to his being a great Brahmana as Dronacharya. When the Pandavas were sent to the forest after being defeated in the gambling game with Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra entrusted the Pandavas to Kripacharya for guidance. After the end of the battle, Kripacharya again became a member of the royal assembly, and he was called during the birth of Maharaj Parikshit for recitation of auspicious Vedic hymns to make the ceremony successful. Maharaj Yudhishthir, while quitting the palace for his great departure to the Himalayas, entrusted Kripacharya with Maharaj Parikshit as his disciple, and he left home satisfied because of Kripacharya's taking charge of Maharaj Parikshit. The great administrators, kings and emperors were always under the guidance of learned Brahmanas like Kripacharya, and thus were able to act properly in the discharge of political responsibilities. Om Jnanadimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Sopadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Paridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna. So here in this particular verse under discussion, Maharaj Yudhishthira is very satisfied with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and he performs the necessary purificatory processes. So Prabhupada would often say that human life is meant for purification. So today is a very auspicious day of Guru Purnima, also called as Vyas Purnima. Also it is a day of disappearance of Sanatana Goswami. So we will purify our existence by discussing the importance of Guru Purnima and also discussing and remembering the valuable life and contribution of Srila Sanatana Goswami. So this subject matter is very vast. While I was preparing, I prepared whatever I could get on Sanatana Goswami from Chaitanya Charitamrita and few other sources. And after preparation, I looked at my notes, and I estimated it will take at least 5 hours to complete this much. So then I thought, what should be dropped? So no, this is very important pastime. This is very important pastime. This is also very important. So I didn't find anything worth dropping. But there was so much about Sanatana Goswami and Guru Purnima. So then I thought, let's condense it, not drop it. I'll speak very, very concisely, try to speak very briefly, touching upon many beautiful pastimes of Srila Sanatana Goswami. So we'll try to remember him. We may not go deep into the pastime or deep into the lesson, but we'll just try to have a condensed remembrance of Srila Sanatana Goswami. So first of all, today is the day of Guru Purnima in general. So Guru Purnima is the day when one offers respect or gratitude to one's spiritual master, Guru. Today the appearance of Srila Vyasadeva, therefore we call the Guru Purnima. He is the original Guru. Because he is the one who has compiled all the Vedic literature. He, being the literary incarnation, has given us the access to all the scriptures. So there is a day of worshipping and showing gratitude to Srila Vyasadeva and all those who represent Srila Vyasadeva. So Prabhupada, in one of his arrival lectures at Los Angeles, he says, so we have got this message from Krishna, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from the 6 Goswamis. Later on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, and we are trying our bit also to distribute this knowledge. Now, 10th, 11th, 12th. My Guru Maharaj is 10th from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am 11th and you are 12th. Prabhupada pointed out to all his disciples. He said, you are 12th. So distribute this knowledge because people are suffering. So, first of all, Srila Prabhupada never said that Guru Parampara stops with him. He said 10th, himself he said, I am 11th and you are all 12th. So he never stopped the Guru Parampara, stops with him, he never said that. Rather, he said it continues. In fact, Prabhupada continues, he says, in fact, the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, in one's own capacity, everyone should become a Guru. Since today is the Guru Purnima, so this is the appropriate verse. It's a Lord Chaitanya's instruction. Yare dekha tare kaho Krishna upadesh, amar agya guru hayya tar ei desh. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, on my instruction, you become a Guru. Amar agya guru hayya tar ei desh. Act for the deliverance of the conditioned souls. So, this is the important instruction. Herein, we can apply this word Guru. Now, Chaitanya Charitamrita discusses, there is a Path Pradarshak Guru, one who shows the path of devotion. Then there is Diksha Guru, who gives spiritual initiation. Then there is Shiksha Guru. And therein, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Shiksha Guru are of 2 types. Shiksha Guru kehta jani, he says, Shiksha Guru kehta jani Krishna Rasarup. I understand Shiksha Guru also has Krishna Sarup. Antaryami Bhakta Shrestha Aidei Roop. So Shiksha Guru of 2 types. Antaryami is our Shiksha Guru and Bhakta Shrestha is our Shiksha Guru. So who is Bhakta Shrestha? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Bhakta Shrestha is one who has overcome his anarthas and has developed Ruchi. He has come to the stage of Ruchi, Jata Ruchihi. He is the Shiksha Guru being referred in CC. So therefore, the term Shiksha Guru, which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami uses, is for an elevated Vaishnava, Bhakta Shrestha. But in general, so they are both Krishna Sarup. Diksha Guru and Shishya Guru have been placed on the same level in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They both are worshipable. But then those who are teachers, those who give us the message of Shiksha and Diksha Guru, those who accept the message and distribute, we can say Shikshak, the teachers, they are also called Gurus. They are also respectable. So in this way, the Guru term is applied for Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, but also in a more generic way to all the teachers also. So Lord Chaitanya here will be referring to, for everyone, become a teacher. Learn from your Gurus and become instrument in their hands. Spread the message. So Amar Agya Guru Hayya. Of course, one can go on. This verse is not only restricting, one can even later advance and go on to become Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru with the blessings of one's Guru. So, Prabhupada gives a very important purport over here. So, Prabhupada says, so on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I am just reading part of the purport. So, on the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone should become a Guru. Not to receive worship, but to distribute this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. because people are suffering. So Prabhupada makes it very clear. So everyone should become a guru not to receive worship, but to distribute this knowledge. So it's an important point. We all have to take up the service of being a teacher of Krishna consciousness, but we don't want to receive the worship, we don't want to enjoy the facilities and so on. That is not the purpose. It's a responsibility, or it's a service order that has been given. So there is a beautiful pastime of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is at Los Angeles, and he is inquiring, so where is Yamuna's ashram? So Yamuna Mataji, Prabhupada disciple, and Deen Tanadi Mataji, they were staying in Oregon, in one of the far off place, Oregon. And Prabhupada inquired from the devotees that where is Yamuna's ashram? The devotees were surprised why Prabhupada used the word ashram. There's just the two of them staying. But anyway, so the devotees told that it's like 1,000 miles and so on. And Prabhupada said, so Prabhupada inquired where exactly, how we can go. We have to drive all the way. Said, yes, probably it will be long drive and so on. Then devotees mentioned that she wanted to come and see you, Prabhupada. Yamuna Mataji and Neendra Mataji. They both wanted to come and see you. Prabhupada said, oh. Then the devotee said, but they don't have money. Prabhupada said, so we can send them money. Right? They can come and see me. But then another devotee said, but they have no one else to take care of the deities over there, because there are two of them. Prabhupada said, then we should go and see them. So he said, but Prabhupada is very far off place. The access is not proper. And there are no facilities they have to host you. Prabhupada said, no facilities? The devotee started kind of laughing. Prabhupada said, we are not for facilities, we are for service. That's a very beautiful statement. We are not for facilities, we are for service. And then Prabhupada said we should go. So that was the mood of Prabhupada as a spiritual master. He wanted to visit these two devotees, very sincere, staying in far off corner in US, Oregon. And doesn't mind if there are no facilities, even if the road is not good or whatever, it's very far, and so on. So therefore, on the instructions of 6 Goswamis, on the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the 6 Goswamis became our gurus. Although they all belong to very aristocratic families, but they left everything aside to show mercy to the people. So Srila Srinivasacharya has written beautiful Shad Goswami Ashtakam. We will just recite one verse. Maybe you can recite along with me if you are able to. This is 4th stanza. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati shrenim sadatu chavat bhutva dina ganesha ko karunaya kopina kantashrito gopi bhavar samritabda lahari kallola magno muhur Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. So this verse explains that how Tyaktva Turnamashesha Mandalpati, they were very aristocrat, but they gave up everything for the reason of showing compassion. Bhutva Deen Ganesha Ko Karunaya. And they wore simple loin cloth. And in their own devotional service, they floated in the waves of ecstasy, in the mood of the maid servants of Srimati Radharani. So, in this way, for the same reason, Prabhupada points out in the purport that not to receive worship but to show compassion, one should take up this service of becoming a guru. So, of all the 6 Goswamis who thus became gurus on the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Sanatana Goswami is the senior most among them. He is accepted by the other Goswamis as their senior most. So we will discuss today now about Srila Sanatana Goswami. Kavi Karnapur has offered a beautiful pranams to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami by composing this verse. Kalena Vrindavan Keli Varta Lupte Titam Khyapaitum Vishishya Kripamritena Vishishecha Devas Tatreva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. So in due course of time, the transcendental mellows of Vrindavan were lost, but the Lord Chaitanya was very eager to revive them, and thus he empowered Rupa and Sanatana Goswami with his own mercy, or with the nectar of his mercy. Kripa amriten abhishishech devas. And how much mercy? Abhishek, the word I will use is Abhishek. He profuse shower of mercy. So thus Rupa and Sanatana Goswami were the recipient of profuse mercy of Lord Chaitanya to carry out his mission on this earth. Srila Sanatana Goswami, he appeared as the eldest son of Kumar Dev, who was a Saraswat Brahmin from Karnataka, and he had younger brothers Rup and Anupam. It's mentioned then that even when Sanatana Goswami was very young, a very beautiful Brahmana appeared to Sanatana Goswami in a dream. And this Brahmana brought a beautiful gift wrapped in a nice cover. And then he came up to Sanatana Goswami and he unwrapped it. And there it was Srimad Bhagavatam. And suddenly Sanatana Goswami felt great surge of ecstasy. He woke up and he found there was no one. Sanatana Goswami could not sleep. So he was feeling, the great ecstasy within the heart. He was also feeling morose, not have Srimad Bhagavatam. And then, after Sanatana Goswami just performed his morning duties, that Brahmana actually came to him and presented Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is described that actually it was Krishna himself who disguised as a young Brahmana and gave a gift of Srimad Bhagavatam to Sanatana Goswami. So therefore, Sanatana Goswami had a great love for Srimad Bhagavatam, and he has composed a beautiful verse in Krishna Leela Stav, where he expresses his love for Srimad Bhagavatam. We can just recite this verse to honor Sanatana Goswami's love. You can repeat behind me. Madek bandho mat sangin, mad guru man mahadhana, man nistarak mad bhagya, madananda namastute. So Sanatana Goswami is saying, O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer my obeisances to you. You are my only friend, Madeka Bandho. You are my constant companion, Mat Sangin. You are my Guru, Mad Guru. My great wealth, Man Mahadhana. Mad Nistarak, my personal deliverer, Mad Bhagya, and my greatest good fortune. Mad Ananda Namastute. You are my supreme bliss. So in this way, like Sanatana Goswami is saying, Srimad Bhagavatam is everything to me. My friend, my companion, my guru, my treasure, my deliverer, and so on. So this is a beautiful verse glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, both these brothers, they were very learned. They became scholars of Arabic, Persian language. And they became very respectable members of society. They were the leaders who commanded respect from everyone. So the Nawab came to know of their qualities, and some of the ministers of Nawab Hussain Shah informed that these two personalities, they just command respect from everyone. So if you make them ministers, so the whole population will be under your control. Everyone will naturally follow them. And then you are free, to expand your cruelties and so on. So King Nawab Hussain Shah, he forcibly employed them. He threatened that if they don't, not only he will persecute them and their families, he will persecute the entire kingdom if they do not accept his offer. So he made them something equivalent to the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister of his country. So the Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, thus they were forced to take up this post. But while staying in Ramkeli, they created Vrindavan around them. It's mentioned that they excavated Radha Kund, Shyam Kund. They planted many Vrindavan trees, especially Kadam trees, and they called that place the replica Vrindavan, which they created as Kadam Kanan. They also installed Madan Mohan deities in Ramkeli. And especially Srila Sanatana Goswami would regularly invite Vidya Vachaspati, another great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, to study other Vedic literature from him. So in this way, while they were managing the kingdom, they were also continuously immersed in Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan Dham. So it's mentioned that one day Lord Chaitanya appeared to Sanatana Goswami and he gave instruction in the dream saying that you should retire from this materialistic way of life and you should fully surrender. You should then go to Vrindavan and reveal the glories of Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan Dham. So Sanatana Goswami again felt a great surge of joy and he got up and early in the morning he went to Rupa Goswami and shared his dream. And Rupa Goswami said, yes, actually the Supreme Lord has appeared. I understand from my heart that Supreme Lord has appeared as Lord Chaitanya and we should take shelter of him. So they both started writing letters to Lord Chaitanya expressing their abominable condition and how they can be delivered. It's mentioned that their father Kumar Dev, he was also constantly lamenting for their situation. So His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was once giving class. He said, most parents would be proud of their sons. They were millionaires, Prime Minister, Finance Minister. But their father was lamenting and performing yagyas as atonement that their sons are engaged in the Muslim government. So he was performing yagya for their purification as atonement and so on. And they both were also writing letters to Lord Chaitanya for their deliverance. So Lord Chaitanya, though he didn't reply to any of those letters, but later he wrote one reply to one of the letters. He said, if the housewife has some paramour, that means extramarital affair, she should do all the household work very diligently, while secretly cultivating love for her paramour. This is what Lord Chaitanya wrote. Right? So it seems like Lord Chaitanya promoted his extramarital affair, it looked like, but actually they both understood that we should remain loyal to the government for some time and not let him suspect. But within the heart, we should cultivate our love for the Supreme Lord Krishna and Vrindavan Dham. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya wrote the letter and they understood. So finally, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to leave for Vrindavan, he decided to go via Bengal. And from Bengal, he started walking towards Ramkeli. Now, all the devotees were surprised. From Bengal, the Lord should walk towards northwest. But he is walking towards north or slightly towards northeast. So this is not the right direction. We have to go to Vrindavan. Why are we going to Ramkeli? It was a detour. So no one could understand and no one could question Lord Chaitanya also. But Lord Chaitanya visited Ramkeli, took a detour from Bengal. He visited Ramkeli just to meet Rupa and Sanatan. So Rupa and Sanatan, they both were overjoyed by Lord Chaitanya's mercy with the pieces of straw in their mouth. They both came and met Lord Chaitanya, completely surrendered to him. And Lord Chaitanya bestowed his complete mercy upon. They offered many beautiful prayers of surrender. And seeing their humility, Lord Chaitanya said, please check your humility. It's breaking my heart. So, and when Lord Chaitanya told that I am going to Vrindavan, Sanatana Goswami just told my Lord, you are going with lakhs of people and probably this is not the right way. You may not be able to relish the atmosphere of Vrindavan. Later, Lord Chaitanya, he continued on his way till Kanai Natshala. Later, considering the advice of Sanatana Goswami, the Lord changed his plan and turned back to Jagannath Puri. On returning to Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya narrated the incident that transpired. He specially glorified Rupa and Sanatan to all the devotees in Jagannath Puri. Especially he said that these two brothers, they are like the foremost of devotees. Dui Bhai Bhakta Raj, Krishna Kripa Patra. They are the recipient of Krishna's mercy. Although they are very knowledgeable, very experienced, very intelligent, still they think themselves to be inferior to a blade of straw. And therefore, seeing their humility, I have been very impressed with them, Lord Chaitanya says to all the devotees. So we can see here that how Sanatana Goswami was actually the personification of humility, both the brothers. And this is the quality which irresistibly attracts the Supreme Lord. Or it said that the Acharyas have pointed out that it was the humility of Rupa and Sanatan that broke open Lord Chaitanya's heart, and therefore his mercy automatically flooded out, and they were bathed Kripa Amriten Abhisheshecha Devas. So they both naturally became the recipients because the Lord's heart broke and his mercy overflooded them. So finally Lord Chaitanya he told them that they will be able to join him after some time, and and Lord Chaitanya of course returned back. And finally, after Lord's return, Rupa and Sanatan, they could manage to escape from the employment of King Nawab Hussain Shah. Rupa Goswami could escape early, but Sanatana Goswami, there was a greater struggle. He had to flatter the jailkeeper, he had to bribe him, and with great struggle, Sanatana Goswami also could escape. So Sanatana Goswami started walking to meet Lord Chaitanya. Rupa Goswami sent the message that Lord Chaitanya is traveling towards Vrindavan. You can come towards Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami is traveling towards Vrindavan. At Varanasi, he comes to know that Lord Chaitanya has already visited Vrindavan and he is returning back. So the meeting of Sanatana Goswami with Lord Chaitanya takes place at Varanasi. He was just sitting outside the house of Chandrasekharacharya, just waiting when Lord Chaitanya would come out. But Lord Chaitanya, being omniscient, he told Chandrasekharacharya, go and see if there is any Vaishnava outside. Chandrasekharacharya went and he said, my Lord, there is no Vaishnava outside. He came in and replied. Lord Chaitanya said, go back and see if there is anyone outside. He said, yes, one Muslim beggar, Darvesh. And Prabhupada translated as a hippie. One hippie is sitting outside. A hippie-like person is sitting outside. Lord Chaitanya said, call him. And as Sanatana Goswami entered, Lord Chaitanya ran forward to embrace Sanatana Goswami. And he began shedding tears. Chandrasekharacharya could not conceive this. He thought Lord Chaitanya had never shed any tear on embracing me. He is embracing this hippie and shedding tears and embracing so affectionately. It's mentioned by Kaviraj Goswami, Duijane premaveshe karena krandane Prabhu gune bhritya vikal Prabhu bhritya gune. So both of them began crying on embracing each other. What made them each other cry? Remembering the good qualities. Sanatana Goswami remembered the Lord Chaitanya's good qualities and mercy, and Lord Chaitanya remembered the good qualities of Sanatana Goswami, his humility, his surrender. So in this way, remembering the good qualities, both were uncontrollably crying. So this was inconceivable. And Sanatana Goswami was telling, my Lord, please do not touch me. Right? He was trying to get out of the Lord's embrace, feeling that I am very sinful, very lowly. But the Lord replied, he said, Sanatan, I am touching you for my purification. That was the mood of Lord Chaitanya. It is very inconceivable. The Supreme Lord feels, he is not just speaking as a matter of formality, he feels he is being purified by the touch of his pure devotee. So therefore, we can't really conceive of the depth of the emotions which Lord Chaitanya and Sanatana Goswami experienced in this meeting. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, these emotions in bhakti constitute great riches. He used the word bhavera vaibhav, the riches of devotional emotions. He said these are very inconceivable to people in general. So what the pure devotees for the Supreme Lord experiences constitute great wealth, great riches. And it's not easily conceivable. One has to enter that domain, be purified, to be able to understand what was Lord Chaitanya and Sanatana Goswami experiencing. So in this way, they both met, and Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami that Krishna has been very merciful to you. He has delivered you. And Sanatana Goswami gives a reply, Sanatana kahe Krishna ami nahi jani. Sanatana Goswami says, I do not know who Krishna is. He is our Sambandhacharya. He is the one who will help us establish our relationship with Krishna. But Sanatana Goswami says, I do not know Krishna. Sanatana kahe Krishna ami nahi jani. Why Sanatana Goswami is saying such a thing? What he wants to say is that I do not know Krishna directly. Krishna's mercy is not directly coming to me. I know Krishna only through you. So therefore, Sanatana Goswami is teaching a very important lesson. He is not trying to bypass the person who is bringing Krishna's mercy to him. Therefore, we cannot bypass anyone in the parampara. Actually, if you try to bypass anyone, the higher authority, the higher acharyas, they will not be at all pleased. Right? If you disrespect anyone in the parampara, any of our gurus, and approach higher gurus, it will not be possible. They will not be pleased to offer their shelter. So therefore Sanatana Goswami established this principle. He said, I do not know Krishna. I only know that your mercy has delivered me. So then Sanatana Goswami at that point of time, he begins to inquire from the Lord. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, just like previously Lord Chaitanya empowered Ramanand Rai to answer, and he himself was inquiring, now he empowered Sanatana Goswami to ask questions, and he himself will answer. Right? So he has taken a different role, but now he is being empowered to ask questions, Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami asked very basic question. Prabhupada would often repeat this question, Ke ami kene amai jare tapatre. Who am I? Why are threefold miseries disturbing me? If I cannot understand, how will I benefit myself? So in a very humble way, with great humility, Sanatana Goswami inquires from Lord Chaitanya. So it's mentioned that Lord Chaitanya taught 4 Vaishnava principles, 4 Vaishnava qualities through 4 of his principal associates. Through Ramanand Rai, he taught sense control. Through Damodar Pandit, he taught neutrality. Through Haridas Thakur, he taught tolerance. And through Sanatana Goswami, he taught humility. So therefore, Sanatana Goswami, every aspect of his life is just saturated with Vaishnava humility. So in this way, Sanatana Goswami presents himself as completely ignorant, and he inquires from Lord Chaitanya. And Sanatana Shiksha is the biggest section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, covering 5 chapters. So 4 chapter is Lord Chaitanya speaking, and then 1 chapter is about 61 explanation of Atmaram words in response to Sanatana Goswami question. So including that, it becomes 5 chapters. Madhya Leela, chapter 20 to 24. That's all is Sanatana Shiksha, biggest section of CC. So, and it is spoken to this humble inquiries of Srila Sanatana Goswami. And hearing these 5 chapters where Lord Chaitanya elaborately explains the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhant, the Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan, Rasa, all that has been explained in those 5 chapters. After explaining all this, Sanatana Goswami says, my Lord, what you have spoken is like an ocean. My mind could not assimilate 1 drop of it. You have given the whole ocean. Just like we hear so much, but how much actually touches our heart? How much actually sinks in? That's a question we can all introspect. So he says, nothing has touched, not a drop has touched. You have given the whole ocean of Siddhant, but not one drop has touched me. So now you give your blessings and mercy, that whatever I have spoken may manifest in your heart. Only then will I be able to imbibe and describe this pastime. So seeing this humility of Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya empowers him. He explicitly says that whatever I have spoken may manifest in your heart. So therefore, we may hear so many things, but we should understand that we need the blessings of the Supreme Lord, of our teachers, of all the Vaishnavas. We need that blessing to be able to imbibe it, to be able to live by the philosophy. Otherwise, it will not touch us, or will not be able to really imbibe it. So, Sanatana Goswami, as our Guru, he highlights this important point also. So then Lord Chaitanya finally asked him to go to Vrindavan. Said, from here you go to Vrindavan. And he gave him fourfold mission. We can try to remember the mission given to the Goswamis by the acronym ABCD. A is Archa Vigraha. You should establish Archa Vigrahas. Prabhupada said Vrindavan style of deity worship. Then B is write books. B is books. Books glorifying pure devotional service. C is the conduct of a Vaishnava. Vaishnavachar, Vaishnava Krityar, Vaishnavachar. And D is Dham, excavate the holy places, reveal the Dham. So Archa Vigraha, books, conduct of a Vaishnava, and Dham, revelation. So in this way, fourfold mission was given to Sanatana Goswami and also Rupa Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami from there on started for Vrindavan. It is mentioned that after coming to Vrindavan, he met another great personality, Subudhi Rai. So this Subudhi Rai previously was a zamindar, but somehow, the Nawab Hussain Shah was his servant. But then he became a Nawab, and then he was kind of, he had to come out of that, and finally he became outcast. He turned him into a Muslim and so on. Finally, in dejection, he approached Lord Chaitanya, who asked him to go to Vrindavan. So Subudhi Rai in Vrindavan would collect dry wood from the forest and sell it for 5 paisa. And he would maintain himself with 1 paisa. That means he would save 4 paisa, 80% of his income, to serve the Vaishnavas from Bengal who would visit Vrindavan, to give them dahi bhat. Because Vrindavan food will be little heavy, so their stomach would become upset. So he would give dahi bhat, arrange dahi bhat for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas from his savings, right? And he's already a pauper, right? But still this devotee with a pauper would have 80% savings, right? And serve Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So what is required actually the desire. And just imagine he's just collecting dry wood and selling and getting 5 paisa and saving 4 paisa to serve Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So that was the life of Subudhi Rai. So Sanatana Goswami came and met Subudhi Rai. And it is Subudhi Rai who first took Sanatana Goswami on the tour of the Dwadashvan, the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And he very affectionately served Sanatana Goswami, also Rupa Goswami. When he came, Subudhi Rai attended to him also. So now Lord Chaitanya had instructed him to go to Vrindavan, but later also Lord Chaitanya had said, you should visit me in Jagannath Puri. So therefore, Sanatana Goswami, after staying for some time, he now started traveling towards Jagannath Puri. So Rupa Goswami had already visited Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami met Lord Chaitanya previously at Prayag. Before Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami met the Lord. So that is chapter 19th. Chapter 20th Madhya Lila is Sanatana Shiksha. So Sanatana Goswami meets at Prayag. So Lord is returning from Vrindavan. First comes Prayag, then Varanasi on the way back to Jagannath Puri. So Rupa Goswami met at Prayag, went to Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami met at Varanasi, heard all the teachings. By the time he reached Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami had already left by a different route. So they didn't meet. Now Sanatana Goswami also left for Jagannath Puri after some time. And it's mentioned that on the way to Jagannath Puri, he contracted a skin disease. He drank some contaminated water. And thus he had a itching sores from that pus and blood would come out. So Sanatana Goswami became very disappointed. He thought that I am already of a low caste, now my body has also become useless. Therefore, when I go to Jagannath Puri, I will not be able to see Lord Jagannath. I will also not be able to see Lord Chaitanya because of my condition. Therefore, what is the use of this body? Therefore, I will go to the holy place, and after seeing Lord Jagannath on Rath, I will commit suicide. That was his plan. So Sanatana Goswami came to Jagannath Puri, and he stayed at Siddha Bakul at the place of Haridas Thakur. That was where Rupa Goswami also had stayed. And Rupa Goswami had also visited Jagannath Puri and left. So they never met, kind of. So Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, 10 days back your brother visited here and left." So then Sanatana Goswami came. Then he stayed with Haridas Thakur, the same place, Siddha Bakul. And said, Lord told that you both are of the same spiritual caliber, you and Haridas Thakur, you both stay together and day and night discuss Krishna Gatha. So they both in this way discussed Krishna Gatha. And Lord Chaitanya would often embrace Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami would feel dejected. He would embrace forcibly, and the blood and the pus would get smeared on the body of Lord Chaitanya, would embarrass him. So Sanatana Goswami made his resolve to commit suicide even greater. So one day Lord Chaitanya came to Siddha Bakul and just told, Sanatan, if I could attain Krishna by committing suicide, then I would give 1,000,000 of body without a moment's hesitation. And Lord Chaitanya instructed him that how committing suicide, no one can attain Krishna. Only by devotional service can one attain Krishna. And thus Sanatana Goswami understood that Lord Chaitanya has not approved of his plan. But he said, my Lord, I am so fallen. What will it do with my body? What will it do if I am living? Lord Chaitanya said, your body is my personal property. You have surrendered to me, and I am going to accomplish great things through you. And saying this, Lord Chaitanya again embraced both of them and left. And then there was a beautiful conversation between Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami. They both started glorifying each other. Haridas Thakur said, there is no one more fortunate than you, O Sanatan. Lord Chaitanya calls your body to his personal property. Look at me. My body could not be used in Lord's service. Right? So therefore my body is useless. I am useless. Sanatana Goswami said, wait. What is the Lord Chaitanya's main purpose of descent? To spread Harinam. Right? Avatar karya prabhura naam prachare say nija karya prabhu karene tomar dware. Main purpose to spread holy name, that is doing through you. And he also engaged me somehow also. Right? But the main purpose is doing through you, therefore you are more glorious. So in this way, both the Vaishnavas, beautiful conversation glorifying each other more than that you are more fortunate, you are the greater recipient of mercy. So in this way, also Sanatana Goswami glorified Haridas Thakur as saying that you are the one who does achar and prachar of the holy name, and thus you are most worshipable. So then there is another beautiful story where Lord Chaitanya invited Sanatana Goswami to Yameshwar Tota. Tota is the garden. And Sanatana Goswami was very excited. He came, Lord Chaitanya invited me for lunch. He came and he was a little late. Lord Chaitanya had taken lunch. He was resting. And after Lord Chaitanya got up, Govinda gave the Mahaprasad remnants. He honored it. As soon as Lord Chaitanya got up, the first question he asked is, Sanatan, which route did you come by? Right? He should have asked, Sanatan, have you taken prasad and whatever. But Lord said, which route did you come by? So I said, I came by sea route. Sea route is so long. And there must be hot sand in the afternoon, burning your feet. Why didn't you come by a shorter route through lanes of Jagannath Puri, passing through Simhadwar? He said, I do not have the adhikar to pass. If my body touches them, the pujaris will be contaminated and I will be ruined. That was the duty consciousness of Sanatana Goswami. He didn't want to contaminate anyone. So Lord Chaitanya said, Sanatana Goswami, you can purify the whole world. By your touch, the great sages, the devatas and the rishis will be purified. But still, it is the nature of a devotee to maintain proper Vaishnava etiquette. And thus you have greatly pleased me. Tathapi bhakta sabha maryada rakshan maryada palana hai sadhura bhushan. So Lord Chaitanya said that you are beautifully decorated with sadhu bhushan, the ornament of a sadhu, which is maryada. And when Jagadanand Pandit wanted to go to Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya was not approving. And finally when he approved, he said, you should constantly remain with Sanatana Goswami when you go to Vrindavan. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya instructed Jagannath Pandit also. So after staying 1 year in Jagannath Puri, Sanatana Goswami returned back to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, Sanatana Goswami, he stayed at several places. He stayed at Mahavan, he stayed at Vrindavan, he stayed at Nandagaon, he stayed at Govardhan. So it was the first time when he was staying at Mahavan, he had the darshan of Madan Mohan deities. The deities in the form of a young boy, cowherd boy, playing along the banks of Yamuna. So though they appeared to Advaita Acharya, who handed over to his disciple, Purushottam Chaubey, it's understood that he was not staying in Mathura that time, but staying in Mahavan, because Bhakti Ratnagara clearly says that Sanatana Goswami saw the cowherd boy, Madan Mohan as a cowherd boy, playing on the banks of Yamuna at Mahavan. So then he became attracted and immediately followed. He saw the boy disappeared. He understood the deity is playing. And later, the Lord by his own desire came back to Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami then moved to Vrindavan from Mahavan to worship Madan Mohan. And he worshipped Madan Mohan. There is a beautiful story of how with a wealthy merchant, Sanatana Goswami made the Madan Mohan temple. And then he handed over the worship to Krishnadas Brahmachari, who was the disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. He was initially a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, but he took Shiksha from Sanatana Goswami. And thus he also became a Shiksha disciple of Sanatana Goswami, Krishnadas Brahmachari. And he then took charge of Madan Mohan worship, and Sanatana Goswami from there on moved to Nandagaon. And he stayed, Nandagaon, he was staying under different trees. And it is Krishna who once appeared and said, Sanatana Goswami, we are pained, we are staying under a different tree, make a bhajan kutir for you. So that was the beginning of making bhajan kutir. Sanatana Goswami made a bhajan kutir, still his bhajan kutir is there. And while he was staying at Nandagaon, Rupa Goswami also stayed at Ter Kadam in Nandagaon. And on Sanatana Goswami's birthday, Rupa Goswami wanted to make an offering, cook something, but he didn't have the facilities and so on. So Srimati Radharani personally appeared with all the ingredients. And she said, please Goswami, take these ingredients, make an offering to your brother. Looks like you are very busy. I might as well cook. Right? So Srimati Radharani herself cooked and gave that sweet rice to Rupa Goswami, and he offered it to Sanatana Goswami. And they both later understood by tasting that this has been cooked by none other than Srimati Radharani. So Sanatana Goswami was rebuking, how could you take service from Rupa Goswami, from Srimati Radharani, but he was eating sweet rice also. Right? So in this way, the beautiful pastime. So, in lesson to that pastime, Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, they surrendered everything to Radha and Krishna to serve them, but they were not wanting to take a single service. In reciprocation, when the Lord did some service, they were rebuking themselves, and this is the standard of devotional service. Right? They don't want to accept any service, only pure causeless service. So this happened when they were staying at Nandagaon, and Sanatana Goswami would also travel from one village to another in Vrindavan, and he would stay only for one night. And early morning he would leave, and all the Brajavasis would be telling him, please stay for some more time. They would be crying in separation. They would come on the outskirts of village to see him off. And the other side, the villagers, they would come to receive him on the outskirts. So they would be crying in separation, and they would be crying on receiving him. So there was a festival of crying. So Sanatana Goswami in this way, made everyone cry out in love for Krishna whenever he moved around. And he had a very jovial relationship with all the Brajavasis, like a family. He would ask, how is their crop this year? How is their cow doing? She has given birth to a calf. How is the newborn calf? How is the studies of your daughter? Is she married? Has he got some children? And so on. So he was very, very personal with all the Brajavasis, and they considered him to be part of his own family. And they also considered him to be Guru. And therefore, on this day, Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day, there is the biggest Govardhan Parikrama. More than even Govardhan Puja day, today the Brajavasis do Govardhan Parikrama to honor Sanatana Goswami. Another reason is they also consider Giriraj Ji, who is Haridas Varya, as their Guru. Giriraj is also the best devotee, best servant, and is also our Guru. For these two reasons, this is the greatest Govardhan Parikrama, biggest Govardhan Parikrama which is held on this day. So Sanatana Goswami would do a daily Govardhan Parikrama. And that was his, and the longer one would do a longer Govardhan Parikrama. And seeing in his old age that he's struggling a lot, Krishna himself gave him a shila with the marks of his lotus feet, with the marks of the cowherd stick, with the marks of the hoof of a calf, and with the marks of flute. These 4 marks were there on the shila. Sanatan, take the shila and do 4 parikramas. This will be equivalent to doing Govardhan Parikrama. So Sanatana Goswami kept that shila, he would do this parikrama, but he continued to do full parikrama also. Right? So double parikrama. Only when he was not able to, very sick, do full parikrama, would he do that shortcut parikrama. Right? But he would not want to take that advantage. As long as possible, he continued the longer parikrama also. And then toward the final days, he stayed at Chakreshwar Teeth at Govardhan, where the mosquitoes were disturbing him, and he wanted to then go away from there, but Lord Shiva appeared and said, wait for some time. Lord Shiva appeared as an elderly person, said, wait for some time till tomorrow. And then Lord Shiva summoned Mosquito Ishwar, the demigod in charge of mosquitoes, and said, no more mosquitoes here. And then that place became free from all mosquitoes. And Sanatana Goswami continued to stay at Chakreshwar Teerth. It's actually, wherever Sanatana Goswami stayed, whether at Mahavan or Vrindavan or at Nandagaon, there in the vicinity there was Lord Shiva's Shivalingam. Right? So there is some special relationship between Lord Shiva and Sanatana Goswami also, that has been indicated by the Vaishnavacharyas. So finally, Srila Sanatana Goswami, by the empowerment of Lord Chaitanya, he wrote many books. Especially he compiled Brihad Bhagavatamrit. By this book, one can understand who is the devotee, what is the process of devotional service, and who is Krishna, the absolute truth. He also wrote a commentary, 10th canto commentary, Dasham Tippani on Srimad Bhagavatam, through which one can understand the transcendental pastime and ecstatic love of Krishna. He also compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas, from which we understand the standard behavior of a Vaishnava and the full extent of Vaishnava duty. So in this way, there are other smaller books also compiled by Sanatana Goswami, all in the line of instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, Sanatana Goswami is exemplary Acharya. And way back in 1966, Srila Prabhupada, when he saw that the devotees are becoming little serious, one day he picked up one unfamiliar red book, right? 1966. And Prabhupada said, because you are little advanced, I am going to read today from Chaitanya Charitamrit. Chaitanya, what? No one was able to pick up his pronunciation. They didn't understand the word Charitamrit. Right? So they could not understand. So they only heard of the word Chaitanya. So it was little night time in the room. Already Prabhupada had informed the devotees that he is going to start this new book, Chaitanya Charitamrit. And he said that Lord Chaitanya had told one of his disciples that understanding Krishna wasn't really possible. So Prabhupada began narrating Chaitanya Charitamrit. So understanding Krishna was not really possible, but he would just give a drop of Krishna consciousness. That he told to Sanatana Goswami. We cannot really understand Krishna, but I'll give you one drop so that you can estimate what is the full ocean. So now Prabhupada has opened this red unfamiliar book and going to speak. Brahmananda turned on the reel-to-reel tape recorder, and Satsvarupa and Umapati, they opened up their notebooks and they poised for rapid note-taking, what Swamiji is going to speak. So it was a college classroom atmosphere that built up. Prabhupada has worn his scholarly glasses. He has opened up this book, Chaitanya Charitamrit, which no one has ever heard, seen before. Right? So, and Prabhupada peered through his eyeglasses over this large volume of Chaitanya Charitamrit. He turned, to a particular page and began to speak. It seemed that today he is going to reveal something very deep. And thus Prabhupada began speaking about Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami. the devotees could not even pick up the word Sanatan. They wrote Sonotan. So just imagine, Prabhupada, out of his compassion, in 1966 began narrating CC, Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami, to all these devotees, seeing them they are now little advanced, and for their further advancement and purification, he began narrating this pastime, and that has been given over here. So in this way, we owe a very special debt to Srila Prabhupada, who has introduced us to Srila Sanatana Goswami, to all the Goswamis of Vrindavan, to our glorious Guru Parampara. On this auspicious day, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and to the sixth Goswami, especially Sanatana Goswami. And we beg their mercy and we beg their shelter on this day, so that we may follow in their footsteps in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant. Jai Srila Sanatana Goswami ki jai. Shri Guru Purnima Maha Mahotsav ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.